Murder by the Book was always going to be a tough act to follow, but Death Lends a Hand does a more than admirable job. Much like the episode before it, this one introduces a recurring foe in the form of Robert Culp, who, like Jack Cassidy, would go on to play the murderer on Columbo 3 different times. In his debut performance, Culp plays Carl Brimmer, the head of a private detective agency hired by media mogul Arthur Kennicott to uncover whether or not Arthur's wife is having an affair. It turns out that she is, with this slab of meat, but Brimmer's willing to keep quiet in return for political favors.
Are you saying that you want me to be a pipeline to my husband?
No. Just a good listener.
When she refuses to be a part of his scheme, he channels his inner Chris Brown and backhands her so hard that she fucking dies. He dumps her body at the edge of town, making it look like Mrs. Kennicott was the tragic victim of a mugging gone wrong. Columbo is on the case but promptly gets absolutely nowhere, so in an ironic twist, the impatient Arthur decides to hire Brimmer himself to assist Columbo in his investigation.
You know, I suddenly feel very much more optimistic about this whole thing.
Culp is on fine form throughout as Brimmer. He's less charismatic than Cassidy, but feels more dangerous. Brimmer is a man with a short temper, and the way Culp portrays a state of constant, barely contained rage is masterful. You really do get the feeling he could explode at any minute, and when he does, it's fun as hell.
Mr. Denning, I asked you to show the lieutenant around. I did not suggest that you discuss our confidential matters with anyone at any time. Our clients pay us to be discreet. Yes, sir. Won't you come in, Lieutenant?
And much like Cassidy, he plays wonderfully well off of Peter Falk, making every scene between the two a joy to behold.
The trouble with your theory is it not only is it very tenuous, but it's impossible to prove, isn't it?
Yeah. Got a little tomato on that there.
We can't overlook Ray Milland's performance as Arthur Kennicott. What could have been a one-note character is played with subtlety, nuance, and genuine humanity. As we'll come to see, Columbo as a show always does side characters well, but few are as grounded as Milland is here. It's easy to see why the man won an Oscar.
Oh, Lieutenant. Thanks for the coffee.
There's a lot of complexity in Brett Halsey's performance as the late Lenore's lover too, also elevating what might have been a thankless role to a fully three-dimensional character. There's a great scene between him and Columbo where he continually tries to blow Columbo off, while at the same time Columbo continually claims to not know anything about golf. Only for the lieutenant to then execute a perfect swing, warning Halsey that he's not to be underestimated. Equally worthy of praise is Bernard L. Kowalski's direction. Sure, Spielberg is Spielberg, but Kowalski is a brilliant creative force all his own. A particular standout is this sequence where we see the murder and cover-up play out in the reflection of Brimmer's glasses. It's awesome. Death Lends a Hand was, interestingly enough, the first episode of Columbo to actually be filmed, not counting the pilots, but eventually someone decided to swap its place with Murder by the Book as the opening episode. I do think that was the right decision, as Murder by the Book feels like a better introduction to the world of Columbo and how the show usually works. Death Lends a Hand is quite unique in several ways. It's the first to feature a death that was accidental and not premeditated, and the first to feature a somewhat sympathetic killer, with Brimmer eventually admitting regret over what happened.
It was an accident, Arthur. It wasn't premeditated. I hardly knew your wife. I didn't want to hurt either one of you.
I really like Columbo's intro in this episode, being pulled over by a bike cop while on his way to the crime scene.
This license expires next week.
Oh.
This is brought up again later when a trip to the DMV optometrist is what finally spurs Columbo in the direction of the final clue. The gotcha in this episode is still to this day one of the most oft-discussed among Columbo fans, who continue to debate over it and how far Columbo is willing to bend the rules. Columbo tells Brimmer that the dead lady was missing a contact lens, and that if someone transported her body in a car, then the contact could still be there. Cue Brimmer rummaging desperately through the trunk of his own car to find any damaging evidence, only to be caught red-handed by Columbo and Kennicott.
You mind telling us what you're doing?
I'd say that was none of your business, Lieutenant.
It further transpires that the contact didn't even belong to Mrs. Kennicott, and Columbo basically planted evidence. This is quite a point of contention, with the question being asked, are Columbo's actions unethical? I mean, I'm no legal expert, but in real life probably yes, but this is a fictional world of heightened reality, and besides, as Columbo himself explains, it wasn't the lens itself that solved the case, but Brimmer's actions regarding the lens that incriminated him. So personally, this ending has never bothered me, but it does show another side to Columbo's personality and how far he will go to get his man, something that will come up time and again in the series. And fair warning, I won't always be as lenient in the future as I am here. All in all, Death Lends a Hand is essential viewing for first-time Columbo viewers. It's not quite my favourite Robert Culp episode, but it is very, very good. I'm already looking forward to his next appearance.